You know what's wild? Sometimes you show up at the airport looking like you just rolled out of bed old sweatshirt. No makeup, just hoping to disappear into the crowd, and someone decides right then and there that you don't belong, that there's no way a person like you could possibly have a first-class ticket. That's exactly where I was the morning this all went down, standing at Gate B32 in Atlanta. Just another tired traveler waiting for a little comfort and peace after 10 days straight undercover for the FAA. But I'll tell you, what started as a snide look and a couple of nasty words turned into something no one at that gate could have seen coming. Least of all the woman who thought she could judge me by the way I looked. Let me back up a sec. I'm Erica Davis, a senior investigator for the Federal Aviation Administration, and that week, I'd been running Operation Secure Skya covert sweep of airport security across the country. I was undercover nonstop, sometimes a nervous tourist, sometimes a stressed-out exec, always watching for the smallest slip-ups. The job was exhausting, but I believed in what I was doing, keeping millions safe, even if nobody ever saw my face or knew my name. So when the operation wrapped, I gave myself a treat. A first-class seat home to D.C., just 2 hours of rest to recharge before heading back to the grind. I wore what made me comfortable: sweats, old sneakers, hair in a bun, and figured nobody would look twice. Except Brenda Collins. She worked the boarding desk, hair slicked back like she was starring in her own movie, lips twisted in a half-smirk the second she clocked me. "Are you sure you're in the right line? This is first class," she shot at me, so loud folks around started to stare. I handed her my e-ticket and passport, keeping my voice calm. Brenda didn't even look at the screen. She just flipped my passport in her hands, acting bored, tapping her nails on the cover like she was itching for a fight. "What do you need a passport for? Think it'll make me take you seriously?" she mocked, rolling her eyes for the crowd. I felt my patience thinning, but I kept my cool. "My passport is valid ID. You can check it in your system," I said, steady as I could, though my jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. Brenda wasn't having it. "Brand new passport, first-class ticket, but someone dressed like you? Doesn't add up," she sneered. Around me, people started murmuring. I know that look, that tone, that "how dare you" attitude. It's the same one that's followed me my whole career and my whole life, like a shadow that never leaves. But this time, I was more than just a passenger. I was the law, and Brenda had no idea who she was poking. She leaned in, voice low and mean. "The photo in this passport makes you look younger. Sure, it's even yours." That was it. I knew what this was. Not just a power trip, but plain old, ugly prejudice. "Run it through your scanner if you don't believe me," I told her, sharp as steel, "or check your computer. I'm not standing here to be insulted." But Brenda? She just grinned. And in front of a whole crowd of travelers, she ripped my passport in half right through the photo, the seal, everything, like it was nothing. The sound was louder than you'd think, a tear that seemed to split the air in two. People gasped. Phones came out. Even Brenda looked a little shocked at what she'd done. But then her lips curled like she was proud of herself, as if she'd just defended the country from some dangerous imposter instead of committing a federal crime. For a split second, I just stared. I wasn't sure if I was angry or heartbroken, but I knew one thing. This wasn't just personal. She destroyed a government document, out of spite, in front of witnesses. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I unzipped my backpack, pulled out my encrypted FAA phone, and let her in. Everyone else hear what authority really sounds like. "This is Erica Davis, Senior Inspector, FAA National Security. We have a security breach and the destruction of federal property at Gate B32. I'm requesting immediate FBI and TSA response." You could feel the whole gate freeze, tension thick as concrete. Brenda turned pale. The crowd shifted, and whispers swept through like wind before a storm. Minutes later, agents arrived. FBI, TSA, you name it'll, by Rachel Chun, who looked like she could see right through you. I pointed to the shreds of my passport and calmly explained what happened. Rachel turned to Brenda, her voice like ice. "Miss Collins, you're not to leave this area. We are beginning our investigation now. You have the right to remain silent, and I strongly advise you to do so." That was the first time Brenda looked scared. The swagger was gone. No more smirks. Just a woman realizing she bet everything on the wrong kind of gut feeling. But here's the twist, and you probably saw it coming. Turns out, Brenda wasn't the only one playing loose with the rules. Her boss, Frank Harris, was right there, trying to smooth things over. "It's a misunderstanding," he pleaded to the agents. But the evidence was overwhelming. Complaint after complaint against Brenda for bias and discrimination, every single one swept under the rug by Frank himself, all resolved without action to protect the airline's reputation. You know what I mean? It's never just one bad apple to the whole barrel that needs cleaning. Once the investigation kicked into gear, the truth poured out fast. Safety records forged, critical plane parts skipped in maintenance, signatures faked on inspection logs. All those little shortcuts, those ignored complaints, had stacked up into a time bomb. The day Brenda ripped my passport, she didn't just end her own career, she exposed a whole culture of cutting corners and hiding problems. Frank tried to talk his way out, but under questioning he crumbled, admitting to years of burying reports and endangering thousands just to make the numbers look good. The gravity of what they'd done, not just to me, but to every passenger who'd ever trusted that airline, hit like a tidal wave. In the end, it went to trial, national news, cameras everywhere. Brenda looked like a ghost, no trace of that old confidence. When the judge handed down the sentences, even years in federal prison for her, 12 for Frank, there were no cheers, just a heavy, necessary silence. Not out of spite, but because justice sometimes has to be cold and clear, no matter how much it hurts. The airline nearly collapsed. Stocks tanked. Passengers fled. The new CEO, Jonathan Wright, had to stand in front of the world and admit the company's failures, promising sweeping reforms, real oversight, public reporting, zero tolerance for bias. They even brought in Congress, holding hearings with all eyes on me as I laid out exactly how a little everyday bigotry nearly cost hundreds, maybe thousands, their lives. And that's the thing, this story isn't just about a gate agent with an attitude, or a manager who thought silence was safer than the truth. It's about what happens when we let those little injustices slide, hoping someone else will fix them. When we stay quiet, when we look the other way, we become part of the problem. Yeah, it cost me a passport, some peace of mind, more than a few sleepless nights, but I wouldn't change what I did for anything. Because the moment you stand up, the whole world shifts, even if just a little. So let me ask, what would you have done in my place? When do we draw the line between forgiveness and accountability? Leave your thoughts below, because these conversations matter more than you think. If you found this story worth your time, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more true accounts that challenge us all to demand better. Thanks for listening, and remember, silence helps no one.